The U.S. ambassador to Syria is safe tonight after being attacked by a pro-government mob in Damascus. It happened while Ambassador Robert Ford and his staff were visiting a member of Syria's political opposition to the government of President Bashar al-Assad. Raghida Dergham is a columnist and senior diplomatic correspondent for the London-based newspaper Al Hayat, and P.J. Crowley is a former State Department spokesman. P.J., let me start with you. This is an ambassador unlike any I have seen. This is outside the box, is it not?
For the last 3 months in particular, he's done extraordinary public diplomacy on behalf of the United States. It's one thing for the President and the Secretary to be here in Washington and say that we identify with the aspirations of the Syrian people. It is Robert Ford that brings that policy and those words to life. He's been to Hama, to visit with Syrian people and express the United States' concern about their welfare. He's challenged the Assad regime using social media, including Twitter. And obviously today he's engaging in an important discussion with Syrian opposition about the Syria of the future that does not include Bashar al-Assad.
Raghida, do you have any fears about this strategy of having the U.S. ambassador over there so clearly on the side of the opposition to the government?
Yes, of course, there's always fear of, God willing, would never happen. But, an attack like this could be harmful and could cause us to worry quite a bit as to what would happen to the ambassador. But as PJ said, this is an extraordinary ambassador. I was not really for appointing an ambassador to Syria when he was appointed, but he had proven to be an exceptional man, doing an exceptional job. And that is why the Syrians are trying to push him out. They were hoping that he will be pulled out, either by non-confirmation or by the United States deciding that we cannot take this humiliation. But there's also now talk about them trying to expel, maybe wanting to expel the ambassador, because they can't have his watchful eyes reporting and exposing what they're doing right there from Damascus and other cities.
PJ, let me ask you just briefly for our audience. The ambassador was a recess appointment by the president because he could not be confirmed by the Senate because there were Republicans who didn't want to send an ambassador to Syria for precisely the reason that we just heard from Raghida, her initial objections, which is we shouldn't send anyone there. Having said that, he needs to come back at some point before Christmas anyway. But let me ask you about the danger zone here for him. Does there come a point when we need to be worried about this? It seems to me this is a pretty dangerous assignment for him.
Right. I mean, this is an unparalleled situation. You've got an ambassador in the middle of what is a conflict zone, and he's standing right between, the government and its intimidation and attacks daily on its people.
What's in it for the Syrian government to go after not just the U.S. ambassador, as Jill Doherty reported earlier, but the French ambassador? What are they trying to do?
Well, they're feeling pressure. I mean, obviously, you've got enormous sanctions by the United States. Now the Europeans, the United States and others are putting pressure on China and Russia to join this as well. They're feeling the pressure. Robert Ford is getting under their skin. And clearly they don't quite know what to do. There are also things happening here. I mean, the Syrian embassy here has been accused by the State Department of collecting information on the family members in the United States of Syrians and then intimidating those family members back home. So there is this dynamic here. I do expect at some point in time the Syrians are going to pull the plug on this and what we call PNG, expel the ambassador. But that also has geopolitical ramifications for Syria. So this is a very difficult dance that we're in.
Go ahead, Raghida.
They're panicking. You see, they are really feeling the heat now because I think they understand that the United States, this administration, is now quite serious in opposing the continued killing that's going on in Damascus. And they had thought in the past that, we'll fix it. The U.S. will change their mind. They will come around and everything will be fine. We'll be rehabilitated. We've been there before, done that. And now they're realizing that's not going to happen. So they're upping the ante. In the meantime, in the United Nations, in the next few days, you will see a confrontation with Russia and China if they don't come along on this resolution they're working. It will not have immediate sanctions, but it will condemn the Syrians. And if the Russians insist on equating the opposition with the authorities, the Syrian authorities, in terms of responsibility of violence, I think there will be no meeting on this draft resolution. But even the Russians are going to have to come around because the situation is terrible, and I think Damascus understands and fears that very much so.
And do we see any signs that Russia will come around? Because that pressure is really needed at this point.
Well, I mean, they have a traditional neuralgia, both Russia and China, about what they see as interference by the national community in the internal affairs of any government, including their own. Eventually, I think Raghida's right. They're going to have to do something because they can't ignore it. I mean, even the Iranians, the great protector of the Assad regime, they're feeling the heat, and they have said that the Assad regime has gone too far and needs to pull back. So eventually this will come around at some point, but it could take a while.
Rita, have they gone so far that they really can't come back? It's now the only option is out. And when do you see this coming to some kind of head here for the government?
All right. Well, the Syrian family, if you will, the Syrian regime represented in the Assad family, it seems that they are just digging in their heels. They're not interested in any equation where they would be out. They did not even get the lesson from what happened with Muammar al-Gaddafi in Libya. They feel that they can survive this. They feel somehow the world will change their mind. They will change the subject one way or another. Iran still continues to support them. Russia and China still continue to encourage them, in effect, by not having them, scrutinized as supposed to be. Then you have countries like Brazil, which is changing its mind, India, South Africa. They have given them the idea that, yes, they can be protected if they go on with killing people as they are and the oppression they are exercising against the demonstrators. But I think in the final analysis, Syria is the linchpin for what will happen in the region. And they now understand that strategically the new order, if you will, in the Middle East is being drawn, and they understand that it's going to get them. They're not going to be there for too long. Maybe not tomorrow, as Ambassador Ford himself suggested, but maybe not in a week, but certainly possibly in 6 months, and certainly, definitely, most possibly in 1 year. The United States has got to stay the course. That is important. Any idea we give them, we're changing our mind and we're hesitating or we're going wobbly, will encourage them to really escalate against the U.S. and their own people.
Last word to you, BJ.
What will be decisive here is the state of the security services. You're seeing an increasing drumbeat of defections. If the Assad regime loses control of their military, then game over.
So
that's right.
We're closing in on it. I want to thank you both so much tonight. Raghida Dergham, PJ Crowley. We appreciate it.